Thank you, and good afternoon, and thanks to 121 for the opportunity to speak today. I'm going to speak to you today, Xanadu Mines. I'm the Managing Director of Xanadu Mines. Xanadu Mines is a copper and gold exploration company focused purely on Mongolia. We're looking for large copper and gold discoveries, and we're having very good success at that. And really, the story of Xanadu is a counter-cyclic approach, picking up projects at the bottom of a cycle when most people are distracted or unfunded. And then having that exploration success as we have leveraged to the commodities turn and upside. And when I look around at the moment, what's really exciting is the new discoveries. We've had a 10, 15-year downturn in exploration. And really, it's about time we started having discoveries. And that's where the real interest is in the market, because when you come out of a downturn like we've had, there has been very little exploration. The excitement in the market is about these new discoveries, and where Xanadu sits is in our DNA is exploration, and this is what we're delivering on a significant discovery in the South Gobi. We've been able to put together a very good portfolio of projects across Mongolia, but our Hamagtai project is one of the most promising copper and gold discoveries in the market at the moment. It's really a story of rediscovery, but some of the drilling now with 600-metre intercepts, 1% copper from surface. We have an incredibly good, strong exploration team that have been involved in numerous greenfields discoveries globally, and we're very well funded at the moment with an expanding exploration program. So just a quick snapshot of the company. Share price at 31 cents. We've got a market cap which is just a little bit over $180 million Australian, $11 million cash on hand. We've put together a fantastic board, a board that's been involved with discoveries but delivered, been involved with construction, but also been involved in banking. And so, it's a very well-rounded team. And, the success in these businesses is about having a very good team on the ground, having the project, and more importantly, the ability to be funded. Xanadu's ticking a lot of those boxes. So Mongolia, it's had a storied history, but the reality is it sits in one of the premier mineral belts in the world that's really very much underexplored, but hosts some super giant porphyry copper deposits. That's what we're looking for. But more importantly, when we look at this district, it's really centred on this one belt, one road, which is exciting from the perspective of growth projects out at the moment. This is probably the biggest growth project in terms of logistics globally. Hopefully we'll see a lot of demand for metals come out of this, but really it's going to open up this fantastic mineral district. And when you go looking for big deposits, you've got to go where they are, and you've got to go to areas where there's been very little exploration in the past. And Mongolia, sitting in the middle of Central Asia, Orogenic Belt. This is a belt that hosts over 7 porphyry belts, and each one of those hosting copper deposits of greater than 5 million tonnes. There's some super giant deposits here, and you look at this and you compare this to some of the other global copper belts in the world with very little exploration. It's starting to merge as one of the real copper hotspots. You can see there, Mongolia in the middle of it. Xanadu has 3 projects, Shah Chulit, which is located in a porphyry belt in the north that hosts the large Erdnet deposit, and 2 of our key projects in the South Gobi, which are hosted in the same belt as the giant Oyu Tolgoi deposit. And really, a lot of these projects, Mongolia's had a storied history over the last decade, but the reality is it's a country where some of the biggest copper projects have been built. As I said, in the north, the Erdnet deposit was constructed in the late 80s, and more recently Oyu Tolgoi in the south. And this is really what it's about. It's a country where you're an exploration company. You've got to have that proof of concept. If you find them, you can maintain tenure, and you can build them. And we're seeing that. And really, Oyu Tolgoi is it's a real example of taking a project from an exploration in the early 2000s through to the 3rd biggest copper mine in the world in the last few years, and what will be the biggest underground mine in the coming years. So. Despite the storied history, it really hasn't stopped the progress of some of the giant deposits. Hamagtai, which is our flagship project, and we'll talk about now, it's located an hour's drive north of Oyu Tolgoi. What happens when you start exploring in mineral belts where there's large constructions, infrastructure often comes. This was a remote place a long time ago, but 10 years ago, but now we're seeing paved roads linking Hamagtai with China, which is to the south. We've got railways coming into some of these large copper deposits, and there's a real push on. And we're seeing, more importantly, some of the bigger mining companies in the world starting to explore and grab ground in this premier copper belt that's had very little exploration. Just some background of the project. This is a project that was first identified by Ivanhoe, and between 2001 and 2006, Ivanhoe put about $40 million into it. In 2006, Rio Tinto purchased Ivanhoe. Exploration was interrupted. Xanadu got involved in 2014, picked it up and continued the exploration where it led off. And during that period of $40 million of exploration put in the ground, Xanadu's continued to produce some of the best intercepts and continue to make the project a lot bigger, and starting the commercialisation project of it. And we look at Mongolia, it's really God's gift to explorers after 15, 20 years of work in some of the harder places in the world looking for porphyry copper deposits. When you work in a terrain like this that's flat, there's no jungle, there's no malaria, and there's very few people. It's a real pleasure working there. We have cold winters, but in terms of drilling, it's a matter of drilling out, stepping off, and growing. And what we've had now is 3 discoveries at Stockwork Hill, Copper Hill, and White Hill. And these represent the first zones of mineralisation that outcrop, with most of the district sitting undercover. So we have a dual strategy at the moment. We're starting to expand and show these systems are open to a kilometre's depth at Stockwork Hill, White Hill and Copper Hill, but we have about 19 other districts in what is a fully permitted mining licence. With infrastructure, we have a water resource and we're only 7 kilometres from power. So exploration to date, in 2015 we put out the maiden JORC resource, about 260 million tonnes of 0.6 copper equivalent, a lot of copper, 2 million ounces of gold. This is what you want to see. You want to see a lot of gold with your copper. Low strip ratio, but very much in the rear vision mirror, as you can see here. So much of the exploration in the last 12 months, the last 18 months, has been focused on extending these systems at depth, and we're having an enormous amount of success at that. But one of the key things we've identified is a second phase of mineralisation. So where a previous explorer had stopped its exploration, we're starting to show that there's a second system at depth, and this system has a lot of metal in it. And we're starting to produce some real world-class intercepts and showing the depth extent of over a kilometre. As I said, 650 metres of 1% copper. There's very few projects in the world at the moment that can produce that. This is an ore that has no arsenic. Again, we're seeing many different phases of mineralisation, but the drilling's really starting to unlock the potential of this district. When you look at porphyries, they often occur as clusters. You find one, you want to find the second. We've done that. We've found the third. We're really looking for the fourth. And if you look at some of the big deposits globally, it's about looking for this cluster of deposits. And this is what we see here at Hamugtai. We see the Stockwork Hill, White Hill and Copper Hill. They're well exposed, they're drill and resources, but some drilling undercover, and over 400 drill holes have identified over 19 targets that are currently being followed up. And of that 19, 5 have been drilled, 3 of which are mineralised. So it's going to be an exciting 6 months for Xanadu. And if we look at that geochemistry, the resources is a very, very small area of mineralisation. And then we have these 19 targets that have lit up like a Christmas tree with copper, gold. And these are big targets. They're a kilometre across. They're the right scale. And what we're showing with the drilling is that focus on grade. And it's important that you see these systems that have serious metal budget. We have that at Hamugtai. And really, in terms of scale, we've used the Oyu Tolgoi. We're located in the same district, so it makes sense to compare apples with apples. The north, the Oyu Tolgoi, exploration discovery there, discovery hole in the southwest Oyu Tolgoi. Holes of sort of 500 metres, 0.8 copper, 1 gram gold. We see the similar styles of mineralisation. But where we are, we've had very little exploration undercover. We can see the large Hugo Dummett. Most of our exploration now is going to step out and start exploring undercover, and this is where we're getting some great success. And if we even come down at a smaller scale to where Xanadu is at the moment, out in Tolgoi or Stockwork Hill, most of our exploration has been only conducted in the upper 200 metres, remarkable results. But we're starting to understand the depth, and that hole we talked about out in Tolgoi, we're seeing the depth extension to this system here. And it's not a surprise they will be there, but what we're dealing with some minor offsets and faults, but we're identifying these legs to the systems. In the far left there, we've got Castor Belt, a great discovery in Ecuador. And we can see that these systems have very similar geometry, and this is what we're dealing with out in Tolgoi. Sol Gold market cap of $600 million. Xanadu starting to get up there, getting close to 200, but there's, this is really the opportunity we have here, and this is only one of our discoveries with a lot more underway. So, accelerated drill program coming into the winter months. We're currently drilling with 3 drill rigs, looking to expand to 3, 4, to expand that program. The bedrock's defining multiple targets. We're drilling and finding extensions to high-grade mineralisation. I guess you should need to watch our other projects too, because we have some carbon copies of this. We're drilling has already intercepted over 200 metres of 1% copper from surface from Greenfields exploration. So, exciting program. So, thank you.